Everyone pretty much knows by heart how monster anime usually work. Whether you're watching Ash in Pokemon or Tai in the classic Digimon, there's always been one universal rule. The human stays in the back yelling commands while the monster does the heavy lifting. It's that tried and true trainer and fighter formula that shaped an entire generation's childhood. But what if we broke that rule? What if, instead of shouting orders, the main character looked at a giant monster and decided the best strategy was to punch it in the face? That's exactly what happens in Digimon Data Squad. Forget the helpless kid who relies on his partner to survive. Our protagonist, Marcus Damon, is basically a teenage delinquent who solves diplomatic conflicts with pure physical violence. He doesn't use Agumon as a shield. He jumps into the fight with him, throwing punches at dinosaurs, demons, and even digital gods. The result is a series that blends the nostalgia of virtual monsters with the chaotic energy of an action movie. Something absurd, over the top, and somehow incredibly entertaining. So today on the channel, we're diving back into the full story of this underrated gem, Digimon Data Squad, a show that's both loved and criticized for daring to be different. We open on Yoshino, an agent from a government organization called DATS, hunting a rogue Digimon signal. Her investigation leads her to an unusual scene, a kid and an Agumon trading punches like a street brawl. A little later, both are exhausted on the ground, complimenting each other on the fight. The Agumon introduces himself, and the boy reveals his name is Marcus Damon. Seeing that Marcus isn't all talk, Agumon decides to become his #1 follower. Before Yoshino can apprehend them, they make a run for it. Marcus hides Agumon and goes to find food, but the agent intercepts him. She takes him to Dots, where Marcus meets the big boss, Commander Samson, and his partner Kudamon. They try to convince Marcus that Agumon is a wild creature that will eventually go out of control, but Marcus couldn't care less, saying he'll take full responsibility for whatever trouble Agumon causes. Before the argument can continue, the alarm blares. A wild Digimon has appeared right near where Agumon was hiding. Marcus dashes off, thinking it's his friend, but it's actually a Kokatorimon, a giant bird Digimon. The Kokatorimon knocks out Agumon with a single blow, sending Marcus into a rage. He runs toward the beast, jumps, and punches the monster square in the face. This punch unleashes an incredible power in his fist. Out of nowhere, an old fisherman appears, tosses Marcus a Digivice, and tells him to use the device with his DNA charge to strengthen Agumon. This power makes Agumon digivolve into Geogreymon. He uses his signature attack to defeat the Kokatorimon, which reverts to a Digi-Egg. Commander Samson is stunned. Marcus can not only tame Agumon, but also make him digivolve. Yoshino takes Marcus and Agumon back to Dats, where Digimon called Ponchesmon are placing the Kokatorimon Egg into a machine to send it back to the digital world. They try to do the same with Agumon, but Marcus grabs his friend, and the two escape again. They go to Marcus's house, and he tries to hide an orange dinosaur from his mother, Sarah. Obviously, it doesn't work, but to everyone's surprise, Sarah and Marcus's younger sister, Christy, welcome Agumon with open arms. Yoshino also shows up for dinner, warning Marcus that since he didn't turn Agumon in, she'll have to babysit them indefinitely. The next morning, Marcus passes by Christy's school and sees the police there. The school's rabbit and chicken cages have been destroyed, and Christy's classmate is crying. Marcus decides to play detective and sets a trap, using Agumon as bait. Later, the classmate returns and confesses that he wished for the animals to disappear. At that exact moment, a Kudamon appears and attacks the boy. Lalamon, Yoshino's partner, attacks but isn't strong enough, even after digivolving into Sunflowmon. Kudamon also digivolves into Flymon and paralyzes them both with a poison powder. Marcus, seeing the situation, does what he does best, runs in and punches the monster in the face. This allows Agumon to digivolve into Geogreymon and turn the Flymon into a Digi-Egg. The old fisherman appears again, talking about the digital world and the opponents they might face there. Inspired, Marcus and Agumon return to Dats and ask to join the team so they won't be separated. Commander Samson accepts immediately. The day begins with Marcus and Agumon fighting over food while Christy watches. To go outside, Marcus carries Agumon on his back, pretending he's a giant stuffed animal. Soon, Dats calls. A Demi-Meramon, a fire Digimon, is attacking the city. Marcus and Agumon try to fight it, but they can't land a hit on the floating fiery creature. creature. Unable to land his signature punch, Marcus can't get Agumon to digivolve. That's when a new guy named Thomas shows up, erases the civilians' memories straight out of Men in Black, and resolves the situation. Back at DATS, Thomas arrives with the Demi-Meramon's Digi-Egg. He's a genius who graduated from college at 13 and is now back at the Japanese headquarters. Marcus is immediately annoyed by his arrogant attitude and that of his partner, Galmon. The rivalry is instantaneous. Thomas asks Commander Samson to kick Marcus out, claiming he doesn't have the right profile for the organization. The two end up settling their dispute in a boxing ring. Marcus's brute force against Thomas's strategy. The fight ends in a draw, and of course the alarm goes off again. Nearly 100 Demi-Meramons have appeared. Samson sends Thomas and Galmon to handle the problem. Galmon digivolves into Galgamon and defeats the enemies with ease. Watching this, Marcus starts to doubt his own punch first, ask questions later method. He leaves DATS upset, but the old fisherman is outside cooking a fish, which gives Marcus an idea. He and Agumon use Agumon's own fire to charge up the remaining Demi-Meramons, causing them to merge into a giant Meramon. Now, Marcus has a solid target to punch. The punch activates his Digivice, Agumon becomes Geogreymon, and defeats Meramon. Thomas is surprised but tells Marcus not to get a big head. The two start arguing again until Commander Samson puts a stop to it and makes them partners. The team is investigating a bizarre building covered in disgusting green slime. Thomas, the team's brain, comes up with a detailed plan to neutralize the threat, but Marcus, who is pure instinct, basically says no thanks and ignores the entire strategy. After Lalamon resolves the situation on her own, proving that their bickering is just getting in the way, Thomas is forced to play chauffeur for Marcus and take him home. There, he meets his partner's family, and things get awkward. Marcus's mother, Sarah, invites him in, but Thomas just glances at the whole happy family margarine commercial vibe, looks like he just sucked on a lemon, and bails. Apparently, seeing a happy family isn't his thing. Later, some Home Alone-style burglars try to rob a bank with a high-tech gadget, but one of them trips, the device breaks, the vault door closes, and to make matters worse, it opens a portal to the digital world. A Dremojmon emerges, drills through the wall, and helps the robbers escape. The crooks are so pleased with the help that they decide to hire the Digimon to steal an ATM. Marcus, Thomas, and Yoshino show up right in the middle of the crime. When the robbers try to flee with the Dremojmon, Agumon and Marcus stop the car with brute force. But then the Dremojmon grows to a giant size and attacks. Thomas and Marcus try to fight back, but they start arguing again, and the creature uses their bickering as a chance to escape through a portal. Thomas feels terrible, blaming himself for the failure, and fearing the Dremojmon might return with reinforcements. Against his boss's orders, he makes a radical decision. He enters the portal and goes to the digital world alone. Marcus obviously wasn't going to let Thomas have all the fun alone, so he and Agumon follow him into the digital world. Upon arrival, their first impression is a bit disappointing. The place looks just like the real world. The calm doesn't last long, as Dremojmon shows up to spoil the fun, opening a crater in the ground and tossing the pair into an underground cavern. Down in the pit, they find Thomas and Galmon, and the pretty boy is injured. Seeing his rival in a bad spot, Marcus swallows his pride and starts to help. It looks like a friendship is finally starting to bloom. When Dremojmon reappears, Marcus has a crazy idea. He forces everyone to jump onto the creature's back. The Digimon gets enraged and starts thrashing around wildly. Then Marcus shows he has a talent for rodeo riding and starts taming the Dremojmon like a mechanical bull. He guides the monster into a giant ice cave, a perfect dead end, since the beast can't dig its way out. Cornered, the Dremojmon evolves into Digmon and goes on the attack. But now, the dynamic duo finally works. Geogreymon and Galgamon combine their attacks and take down Digmon, reverting it to a Digi-Egg.
Attack!
Marcus and Thomas finally realize they can work together, accepting each other's fighting styles. Back at the base, Commander Samson gives them the standard lecture for disobeying orders, but deep down, he's got a slight smile on his face, satisfied that the adventure served to unite the two stubborn kids. After winning a fight against the Tortamon, Marcus and Agumon are feeling on top of the world, the best duo ever, but their perfect partnership goes down the drain during dinner. The reason? A fight over the last piece of fried egg. Yes, you read that right. The argument is so serious that they split up. Agumon, out of spite, returns to the Digivice and refuses to come out, despite everyone at DOTS trying to persuade him. Meanwhile, Marcus, with his ego through the roof, thinks he can handle everything on his own. Suddenly, an Elecmon appears on top of a broken traffic light. At the same time, Marcus gets into a fight with some bullies and, despite being 1 against 5, wins easily. The mysterious fisherman from the beginning of the series reappears, now dressed as a fortune teller, and warns Marcus that he needs Agumon, but Marcus ignores him and walks away. The Elecmon attacks again, and Marcus, after saving a little girl from being run over, chases after it. In the heat of the moment, he yells for Agumon, only to remember they're not partners anymore. The Elecmon absorbs energy from a transmission tower and digivolves into Black Garurumon. Thomas and Yoshi arrive to help, but the stubborn Marcus throws himself into the fight anyway. He jumps onto Black Garurumon's back and rides it to the end of an unfinished railway line. He's about to lose badly when all his good memories with Agumon flash before his eyes. The sadness hits him hard. In desperation, he screams his friend's name, and to his surprise, Agumon appears to save him. The two make up, Agumon becomes Geogreymon, and after a power struggle, defeats Black Garurumon.
Remember, you'll never lose as long as we fight together!
Together again, they realize they are, in fact, an unbeatable team. We see Marcus acting all friendly with Thomas, which is a huge red flag. And of course, he wanted a favor, for Thomas to look after his sister Christy on her birthday. The reason? Marcus has to take some makeup exams. Yoshino even offers to help, but Marcus insists he needs a father figure. A bit weird, but okay. Thomas, encouraged by Christy's excitement and her mother, decides to take the mission seriously. He even creates the magnificent birthday plan. The next day, he shows up all dressed up with bouquets of flowers for Christy and her mom. Marcus is shocked by the level of dedication and bolts for school, but Christy has her own plans, forcing Thomas to cancel all his fancy reservations. First, they go to an arcade where Christy absolutely destroys Thomas, the genius, at video games. Then they eat monjiyaki, a kind of cabbage pancake that Thomas ends up enjoying. Her mom pays because the place only accepts cash, and Thomas's credit card becomes just a useless piece of plastic. Christy's final wish is to see fireworks. So, Thomas takes the family to an amusement park. While they're on the Ferris wheel, nostalgia hits, and he remembers his mother, but the sweet moment is interrupted by a Citramon. Thomas orders an evacuation and ignores commands to wait for backup, saying the fight is personal. Gaomon becomes Galgamon, and in a stroke of genius from Thomas, throws the Citramon into the sky. His spiral blow attack turns the Digimon's bombs into the very fireworks Christy wanted to see. In the end, Christy thanks Thomas with a kiss on the cheek, and they all celebrate with cake. The night ends with Marcus fighting Agumon over the last egg in the fridge, and guess who gets it? Thomas. The paparazzi snap Yoshi leaving with a super popular singer, Mion. The gossip barely has time to spread before she's back at DATS, discovering that the singer might be hiding a Karamon. Yoshi reveals she went to school with Mion and is shocked by his fame. She arranges a dinner at his apartment, and as soon as he leaves, she and Lalamon start playing spies and snooping around. Meanwhile, Neon and Karamon hack into every electronic device in Japan to broadcast a commercial of himself. Basically, Karamon is the best marketing team ever, causing the guy's popularity to explode. Marcus arrives to protect Yoshi and nearly ruins everything by attacking Neon. Luckily, Yoshi manages to de-escalate the situation before her cover is blown. At DATS, Thomas discovers that Neon's sales skyrocketed because of the hack. The team decides to raid his apartment to get the Karamon, but Yoshi, disobeying orders, goes in alone and comes face to face with Neon. Karamon grabs her and Lalamon just as Marcus and Thomas break down the door. In the chaos, a reporter also breaks into the apartment and takes pictures of Neon with Karamon. Neon's rage makes Karamon digivolve into Kurisarimon. Gaomon tries to fight but is quickly defeated. Then Marcus and Agumon step in, become Geogreymon, and crash Kurisarimon's party with a mega burst, turning it back into an egg. After the battle, Yoshi erases the memories of the reporter and Neon, promising to remember everything for them. A bittersweet end to a hell of a day. At the DATS base, Commander Samson shows the team a mysterious needle, and everyone looks completely clueless. The crew then heads out to investigate who's behind it. Thomas Thomas finds a boxer named Harris, who happens to be his #1 fan. They chat about why Harris retired from fighting. Meanwhile, Marcus heads straight to a boxing gym and, in classic Marcus fashion, gets into a brawl with some guys before asking Harris's coach if he knows anything about the needle. Suddenly, Thomas and Galmon encounter a wild Digimon, a Togemon, and the weirdest part, it's carrying Harris's daughter, Minnie, on its back. It's unclear if she's a hostage or an accomplice. Togemon and Minnie flee, luring Thomas to a stadium where the real fight begins. Galmon manages to throw Togemon out of the ring, but that only makes things worse. The Digimon grows to a massive size, like a final video game boss. With no other choice, Galmon digivolves into Galgamon and finally defeats Togemon. The episode ends, and we're still left wondering what the needle, the boxer, and the giant cactus had in common. A total mystery. At a family lunch at Thomas's house with Marcus, Agumon, and Christy, we see Marcus displaying table manners fit for an ogre at a royal feast, and Christy finally reaches her breaking point. She explodes and starts wishing all sorts of horrible things on her brother. For him to slip and fall, get hit by sticks, be chased by a car, and crushed by a tanker truck. It's like a villain's wish list, but from his little sister. As she screams, the lights flicker, and Agumon swears he saw something. Christy storms off, furious. Right after, Marcus slips on a banana peel. A coincidence? Agumon thinks not, and points out there's a Digimon on top of Marcus. After some confusion where Agumon tries to hit the creature and only hits Marcus, they head to Dats. On the way, more bad luck. Marcus trips over a sign, and then some chopsticks on the street. It's like a scene from Final Destination, only way dorkier. At Dats, the alarm goes off, and the signal is coming from Marcus himself. The team decides to quarantine him. They conclude that a Digimon is causing all this bad luck. Marcus, stubborn as ever, doesn't believe it and decides to look for Christy. As he leaves, he's almost hit by a cart. Not a car, a shopping cart. And the alarm sounds again. A tanker truck has lost control and is heading straight for the coast. Marcus, being Marcus, decides he's going to fight the truck alone. Meanwhile, Dats identifies the culprit, Soulmon, a champion-level Digimon that's small and can turn invisible. Basically a mischievous ghost. At the pier, Marcus and Agumon climb onto the truck and see the steering wheel moving on its own. Agumon tries to attack but hits nothing. That's when Marcus uses the gift Thomas gave him, a can of spray paint. He sprays the air and reveals Soulmon. With the target visible, he lands a punch, activates his DNA charge, and Agumon becomes Geogreymon. Soulmon grows to a giant size, but Geogreymon defeats it, turning it into a Digi-Egg and stopping the ship at the last second.
Yeah, awesome!
In the end, Thomas is left with a nagging question. What is the connection between human emotions and Digimon? Here we have a bakery owner who suddenly becomes a gambling master, winning every bet he makes. The secret? He's been praying at a mysterious shrine. But the guy gets so addicted to easy money that he abandons his business, and worse, his own son. Marcus, who has a soft spot for sad kids, is moved by the boy's situation and decides to teach the absent father a lesson. Little did he know that behind this streak of luck was a Digimon named Vilemon and his minions, the Demi-Devimons. It's like a deal with the devil, Digimon style. While Thomas continues his research on human emotions, Marcus and Yoshi rush to sort out the mess. The baker, terrified, tries not to disobey his lord Vilemon, but the Digimon doesn't appreciate the intrusion and becomes enraged, growing in size to intimidate everyone. But size doesn't matter when you have a Geogreymon. Agumon digivolves and charges at Vilemon without hesitation, reverting the evil boss to a simple Digi-Egg, and his minions, the Demi-Devimons, try to fly away, but Geogreymon doesn't let them off easy and unleashes a mega flame, having a little digital bat barbecue and ending the evil party. Christy, Marcus's sister, makes a new friend, a cute Digimon named Biomon. Marcus, being a good older brother, thinks it's a great idea and lets Biomon stay at their house. Everything seems perfect until Dats bureaucracy comes knocking. The rule is clear. If you're not a Dats member, you can't have a pet Digimon. Marcus is furious and goes into full-on protective mode. I don't want to fight you, but if you don't leave Christy alone, I'll have to. He's ready to take on all of Dats for his sister, but then something bizarre happens. Biomon herself refuses his help and decides to fight Marcus. Go figure the logic of Digimon. The fight begins, and Marcus has the upper hand, but out of nowhere, a new Digimon, Falcomon, appears on top of a tower, acting like a mysterious ninja. Marcus tries to punch him to activate his DNA charge, but ends up getting stuck on the stairs. Our hero, defeated by a flight of stairs. Yoshino and Thomas arrive to help. Their Digimon Digimon evolve, but Falcomon is too fast. He dodges every attack. Seeing Marcus in trouble, Biyomon finally decides to help and gives him a little push to land a hit on Falcomon. With a solid punch, Agumon becomes Geogreymon and is about to finish Falcomon off. But just when you think the episode is about to end, a new giant boss appears on the horizon, Mercurymon. Things just got serious. Mercurymon appears, and Marcus, in his usual Rambo mode, tries to punch him, but doesn't even get close. Geogreymon unleashes a Mega Burst, but it's like throwing a pebble at a tank. Mercurymon doesn't even flinch and reverts them all to their rookie levels. Just as he's about to finish them off, Biyomon throws herself in front of Christy to save her and becomes a Digi-Egg. Mercurymon grabs the egg and vanishes back to the digital world. At the DATS base, Marcus is furious, wanting to go after Mercurymon, while the rest of the team is like, hold on, let's think this through. Christy shows up and says humans and Digimon should be friends. Then, the director of DATS arrives and gives them an ultimatum. Either they solve this, or the DATS program is finished. Meanwhile, in Mercurymon's lair, Biyomon's egg hatches, and it's already born with its memories intact, looking for Christy. But Mercurymon isn't playing around and forces it to digivolve into Aquilamon, which now flies uncontrollably toward the human world. Aquilamon is spotted by a news crew, and Christy recognizes it on TV. The DATS team arrives to fight, but Marcus figures out that the Digimon is Biyomon. Agumon digivolves into Geogreymon, but after taking a hit, Aquilamon digivolves into its ultimate form, Garudamon. Christy tries to calm it down, but the confused Garudamon attacks her. Geogreymon jumps in front, takes the damage, and faints. Seeing he can do nothing, Marcus has a classic anime moment where the protagonist breaks his limits. His DNA glows, and he triggers a new Digivolution, Rise Greymon. With his new arm cannon, he defeats Garudamon, which reverts to a Digi-Egg, but this time without its memories. Marcus gives the egg to Christy and promises to protect her. Now the team prepares to go to the digital world, but not before Commander Samson drops a, "We need to talk about your father." After Marcus's new Digivolution, the DATS team finally heads to the digital world to settle the score with Mercurymon once and for all. There, they run into a Cherrymon protecting some baby Nyokamon, and out of nowhere, a human boy named Keenan Cryer appears. The kid is like a Tarzan of the digital world, complete with a Digivice. Keenan digivolves his partner Falcomon into Peckmon. The DATS crew also digivolves, but Peckmon is so fast he's like the Flash, and no one can land a hit.
Hard impulse! What a joke!
To make matters worse, a Gotsumon shows up on Mercurymon's orders and starts throwing giant rocks at the team. The champion-level Digimon can't handle it and are almost crushed by the final boulder. In the nick of time, Marcus doesn't think twice and uses his new power. Agumon digivolves to Rise Greymon and simply obliterates the rock that was about to crush Cherrymon. Seeing all that power, Keenan and Peckmon bolt, and Gotsumon also decides he doesn't want to face a robot dinosaur with an arm cannon. It's a strategic retreat, let's say. As thanks for saving its hide, or bark, Cherrymon points them in the direction of Mercurymon's lair. The journey continues, now with a clear destination. The team continues their journey through the digital world and ends up in a ghost town. Bad idea. They are soon ambushed by a nest of Dokugumon, giant spiders that aren't messing around. They are dragged into the lair of Metal Phantomon, a Digimon who is basically the Freddy Krueger of this place. He throws everyone into a nightmare world, forcing them to face their worst fears. In Marcus's nightmare, his sister Christy is kidnapped by a Dromojmon. He tries to save her, but a bunch of disgusting Numamon keep multiplying and blocking his path. It's a nightmare both for the situation and the slime. Yoshi's nightmare is more psychological. She meets her younger self, who accuses her of hating her own family, causing her to break down in tears. As for Thomas, he is forced to relive the most tragic moment of his life, his mother's death. He watches helplessly as a truck hits her, feeling all that pain again. It's heavy. Set up with this torture, Thomas also has his moment of breaking through. His DNA awakens, and he manages to digivolve Galmon to its ultimate form, Makalgamon. With his sonic speed, Makalgamon defeats Metal Phantomon and frees the team from the nightmare.
Winning knuckle!
They manage to escape, but Yoshi is unconscious from the trauma. It seems the journey in the digital world is going to be much harder than they imagined. After leaving the Canyon of Deception, the Datch group's journey comes to a screeching halt. Yoshi suddenly falls ill, forcing everyone to camp out in a cave to take care of her. It's like when you're on a road trip and the car engine decides to die in the middle of nowhere. And to make matters worse, Keenan and Falcomon show up looking for a fight, but their plan backfires hilariously. Keenan ends up catching the same illness as Yoshi. Karma worked faster than a fiber optic download. With his partner sick, Falcomon finds himself in a tight spot. Either he helps the humans he hates so much, or he leaves Keenan in a bad way. Meanwhile, Gatsumon, acting like that toxic friend who won't let you have other friends, sees the cooperation and immediately brands Falcomon a traitor. The group's new mission is a race against time to find a vaccine, which is located in a bizarre mansion that is literally upside down. Upon arriving, they come face to face with Blossomon sent by Gatsumon to ruin everything. While Risegraymon and Magalgamon hold the line and take on Blossomon, Falcomon manages to grab the vaccine and get out, but not before promising to share the cure with Yoshi. In the end, Marcus and Thomas return to the cave to find that Falcomon, despite everything, is a Digimon of his word. Yoshi was already cured, safe and sound. Yoshi is going through a crisis of confidence, feeling like dead weight for the team. She's in that anime character phase where she thinks she only gets in the way. And since the universe loves drama, a Mammothmon appears out of nowhere and causes an avalanche, separating Yoshi, Thomas, and Lalamon from the rest of the group. To complete the trifecta of misfortune, Thomas gets injured in the fall, making the situation even more tense. Now the little Lalamon has to step up to protect both Yoshi and the wounded Thomas. Despite being at a disadvantage, Lalamon doesn't lose her fighting spirit and faces the giant Mammothmon alone. Meanwhile, Yoshi is off to the side, paralyzed by despair, feeling completely useless. That's when Lalamon has a brilliant and totally unexpected idea. Instead of fighting, she starts singing a song. The melody serves to calm the beast, but it also acts as a trigger for Yoshi, who recalls an old memory of when she and Lalamon first met. This memory is the push Yoshi needed. Her self-belief comes rushing back, and she finally manages to use her DNA to digivolve Lalamon into Lilamon. It's the classic power of friendship and self-confidence saving the day once again. The DATS team, led by the mysterious old man Yushima, arrives in Mercurymon's frozen domain. Marcus trusts Yushima. After all, he's the one who gave him the Digivice. But Thomas is still skeptical, extremely suspicious. They've barely arrived when they fall into an ambush inside an ice cave, with a swarm of Sumamon descending upon them. While the team beats up the little creatures, Keenan Cryer is having an identity crisis in front of Mercurymon, who just eggs him on, saying that humans are the real enemy. The team finally reaches Mercurymon's castle, the Infinite Ice Ridge, and Keenan immediately attacks them without a second thought. Marcus, who doesn't take crap from anyone, goes head-to-head with him. In the midst of the chaos, Yushima realizes he knows the boy from somewhere. To make matters worse, Gatsumon causes a cave-in. Marcus and Keenan fall into a chasm, separating them from the others. Gatsumon takes advantage and holds the rest of the team hostage, but then comes the plot twist. Yushima reveals he knows Mercurymon from the original Digital World Exploration team. Intrigued, Mercurymon orders Yushima to be brought to him. Down below, Marcus saves Keenan from the rocks Gatsumon dropped, and Keenan is left confused, like, why would a human help me? Meanwhile, in the throne room, Mercurymon accuses Yushima and all of humanity of breaking a treaty and permanently deleting countless Digimon. Furious at Yushima's denial, he attacks. Marcus, Thomas, and Yoshi regroup and digivolve their partners to their ultimate forms, Risegraymon, Magalgamon, and Lilamon. Their combined attack barely tickles Mercurymon, who simply opens a digital gate back to the human world. Seizing the chance, Yushima creates a distraction by digivolving his own partner into Guapamon. He yells for Marcus to grab the unconscious Keenan and run. The team leaps through the portal at the last second, narrowly escaping Mercurymon and landing straight into the ocean of our world. Back at Dax HQ, the boy wakes up wilder than Tarzan, and Marcus is furious, wanting to go back and help Yushima no matter what. Commander Samson steps in to restore order and calms Marcus down, revealing that Yushima is the head of DATS and knew exactly what he was getting into. Frustrated, Marcus tries to play hacker and open a digital gate on his own, but only manages to fry the entire system. According to Thomas, it will take 2 weeks to fix the damage. Once the dust settles, Samson gathers the team and drops the bombshell. The truth about the first expedition to the digital world 10 years ago. An elite team went to investigate a series of mysterious disappearances and ended up discovering the other side. This team included Samson, Yushima, Marcus's father, Dr. Spencer Damon, and a couple known as the Criers. Samson reveals that the Criers' infant son was one of the people who vanished, transported to the digital world, and that baby is none other than Keenan. The new mission is to take Keenan to meet his biological parents, but along the way, Gatsumon appears in the city with 3 Okuwamon, sent by Mercurymon to eliminate the traitor Keenan. Gatsumon throws it in the boy's face that he's human, and that no Digimon wants him back. The fight begins. Yoshi evolves Lalamon into Lilamon, and Marcus evolves Agumon into Rise Greymon. They defeat the Okuwamon, forcing Gatsumon to retreat, but not before he repeats that Keenan is human and belongs nowhere. The team arrives at the Crier's house, leaving a completely broken Keenan to face his past. But the welcome is anything but warm. They come face to face with his mother, Michelle, holding a new baby. The scene is so overwhelming that Keenan just freaks out and bolts into the forest. There, he finds his father, Kevin, who decides to come clean and tell a story straight out of a movie. 10 years ago, he and Michelle were scientists working on a digital gate in their lab. One day, the gate activated on its own and sucked in Keenan, who was just an infant. After a failed expedition to rescue him, Michelle fell into a severe depression. The arrival of their new daughter, Ruka, was what finally helped her recover, and now Kevin is terrified that Keenan's return will shatter everything. Marcus, of course, gets furious and lays into him, telling the man to stop being a coward and act like a father. Meanwhile, Keenan is deep in the woods, having a flashback of Frigimon's death. He remembers she made him promise not to hate humans, but the pain is so immense that he swears revenge. Back at the house, the digital gate opens again and a Haguramon appears. The Digimon possesses an old toy robot of Keenan's, transforming it into a giant monster that absorbs the house and captures Michelle. Things get even weirder when they discover the robot is acting on the feelings of abandonment Keenan felt as a child. That's when Marcus steps in, encouraging Keenan to face his demons. Agumon evolves into Rise Greymon and simply shreds the robot, allowing Keenan and Falcomon to rescue Michelle. After Rise Greymon vaporizes the monster, a heartwarming mother-son reunion takes place. But the peace is short-lived when Director Hashima shows up to arrest Keenan's parents for the illegal gate. To protect everyone, Keenan sacrifices himself. He takes the blame, claiming to be a Digimon warrior sent to destroy humanity, and admitting he was the one who opened the portal. Before the guards can grab him, Falcomon throws down a smokescreen, and the two escape. In the digital world, Gatsumon rushes to tell Merukimon about Keenan's betrayal, just as Saber Leomon arrives to stir things up and start a war against the humans. He says they need to wipe out the humans to protect their world, but Merukimon isn't on board with that radical idea. He just wants to capture those who trespassed, not generalize. Saber Leomon doesn't like that answer, and issues an ultimatum.
I ask that you do not get in my way. Otherwise, I will be forced to put aside our friendship and battle you for control of the Digimon army.
Meanwhile, on Earth, the DATS crew, Marcus, Yoshi, and Thomas, save Keenan from being arrested by their own organization's agents. Back at headquarters, Commander Samson gets a major dressing down from Director Hashima over the team's actions. In the midst of the chaos, Keenan and Falcomon disappear. The kid is having a heavy existential crisis, feeling like he doesn't belong anywhere, and tells Falcomon to go back alone. But Falcomon is a true partner and refuses to abandon his friend. Suddenly, the city sky is filled with Digimon, a massive army of Terramon and Bormon led by Gatsumon, who is now Saber Leomon's lackey. It's an all-out invasion, with destruction everywhere, like a scene from a disaster movie. The Data Squad charges in, but it's like trying to stop a tsunami with a bucket. They are completely overwhelmed by the army. Lilamon is nearly taken out, but is saved at the last second by Magalgamon. To help out, even Mickey and Megumi's Pawn Chess Mon join the fight, digivolving into Night Chess Mon. Gatsumon, acting like he owns the place, pauses the fight for 1 hour and issues his demands. Destroy everything connecting the two worlds and hand over Keenan. Director Hashima, without blinking, accepts the terms and orders the team to capture the boy. The crew protests, but Keenan himself appears to turn himself in, feeling responsible for everything. Marcus begs him to stay, but it's no use. To protect Keenan, Falcomon attacks Gatsumon. This act of loyalty triggers Keenan's DNA charge, and Falcomon digivolves into Pekmon, but Gatsumon is unfazed and orders the army to attack again, making making it clear that the fight is just getting started. However, a mysterious man suddenly appears and opens a digital gate, pulling Gatsumon and his partners in, bringing the battle to an abrupt end. Marcus decides to play private tutor and takes Keenan to live with him, on a noble mission to teach the Digimon boy how to be human. The first lesson is on cuisine. Back at Dat's HQ, Mickey offers him food, but Keenan refuses. Clearly, ramen and chips aren't part of the digital jungle diet. Meanwhile, across town, Gatsumon, all patched up from his last beating, goes crying to Saber Leomon and convinces him to go after Dots to finish the job. The next morning, Keenan has his first major culture shock. He walks into the kitchen and mistakes Marcus's mother, Sarah, for a Frigimon. A strange compliment, but coming from him, you let it slide. The domestic peace is short-lived as an alarm sounds. Saber Leomon has invaded the real world and is destroying an oil refinery.
That's fine by me!
The DATS team arrives for the fight, but Saber Leomon is too powerful and is about to turn the team's Digimon into a snack. When all seems lost, an unknown Digimon named Gizumon appears out of nowhere, attacks Saber Leomon from behind, and leaves him stunned. Marcus, never one to miss a heroic opportunity, seizes the opening, rushes in, and punches the giant lion's fang, clearing the way for Rise Greymon to finish the fight. The strangest part is that Saber Leomon's Digi-Egg is destroyed. To add to the mystery, a man named Kurata shows up and starts asking questions, wanting to know who Gizumon was and why it helped them. Keenan is in the middle of a deep existential crisis, all because of Saber Leomon's last words. He no longer knows if he's human or Digimon, like a wolf boy who doesn't know which pack to choose. At the DOTS base, Commander Samson drops a bombshell on the team. Professor Kurata, who had disappeared, is back and will be leading an expedition to the digital world. Director Hashima is furious about Digimon appearing in public and has ordered Marukimon's elimination, but Kurata arrives with talk of peace and love, convincing the director to let him attempt a peaceful negotiation first, and just like that, he becomes the mission leader. Back at DATS, Kurata informs the team they will be his backup, and Marcus is livid at the news. Thomas, ever the brains of the operation, manages to delay the trip by a day, claiming the digital dive needs recalibration for a large group. At home, Marcus gives Keenan some tough love, telling him that if he can't decide which side he's on, he shouldn't even go. Meanwhile, in the digital world, Marukimon reflects on his encounter with Marcus and begins to question his own hatred of humans. The DATS team arrives in the digital world and walks right into an ambush by Gatsumon and an ultimate level Digimon, Zudomon. While Rise Greymon, Makgalgamon, and Leilamon handle Zudomon, Gatsumon reveals his power and digivolves into Meteormon. The guy is incredibly fast and starts wiping the floor with everyone, but Marcus comes up with a plan. Leilamon paralyzes Meteormon with her pollen spray, creating the perfect opening for Rise Greymon to grab him and finish him off with a rising destroyer at point-blank range.
Rising Destroyer!
Kurata applauds the victory, revealing it was all part of his plan. Determined to stop the fight himself, Keenan goes to DATS and convinces Commander Samson to send him to the digital world. At the exact moment Marcus confronts Marukimon in his throne room, Keenan appears, placing himself between them and demanding they stop. In a heartbreaking flashback, we see a Frigimon finding a human baby, Keenan, abandoned in the snow. After hearing his name from a closing portal, she decides to raise the boy as her own son. Back in the present, Keenan is standing up to the mighty Marukimon, making it clear that even though he knows he's human, he will protect his friends at any cost. Marcus accuses Marukimon of sending Datsumon to attack Keenan, but Marukimon sets the record straight. Gatsumon acted on his own, driven by a deep-seated hatred for humans. Keenan then becomes the ambassador of peace, explaining that meeting Marcus and the others proved that humans and Digimon can indeed live in harmony. The conversation is brutally interrupted. Dr. Kurata appears with his soldiers, armed to the teeth. Marukimon recognizes him instantly as the man who destroyed his friend, Frigimon. Kurata, with a straight face, tries to play the victim and tells his version of the expedition to the digital world with Marcus's father, Spencer Damon. In a flashback, we see that Kurata panicked and started shooting, provoking the Digimon. To escape, he activated an unstable portal, but Spencer stayed behind, fighting a Saber Leomon and Marukimon himself to save the rest of the team. Marukimon refutes the story, revealing that he and Spencer came to an understanding. He even advised Marcus's father to seek out King Drazil to find a path to peace. Commander Samson confirms it. Spencer is alive and was the one who sent the message and the plans to create DATS. Marukimon then tells the dark truth. Kurata returned later with an army and new weapons, the Gizumon, which permanently delete Digimon. It was in this cowardly attack that Frigimon was caught in the crossfire and deleted while protecting Keenan. With Keenan devastated by the pain, Kurata taunts him and attacks the already weakened Marukimon with his new Gizumon AT, causing the powerful Digimon to collapse. The Data Squad stands their ground, insisting that humans and Digimon can live in peace. Marcus digivolves Agumon to Rise Greymon, but his Trident Revolver attack doesn't even scratch it. Thomas and Yoshi join the fray, turning Galmon into Makalgamon and Lilamon into Lilamon. But it's no use. The Galga Tornado is ineffective, and Lilamon's Pollen Spray, which should paralyze an enemy's heart, fails miserably. The reason? Gizumon AT has no heart. That's when Kurata reveals the sinister truth. Gizumon AT is a machine built from the remains of captured Digimon with no emotions or will of its own, basically a digital Frankenstein. While the team tries to process this horror, Kurata evolves his creation to the ultimate level, Gizumon XT. The new form is a monster that unleashes a tornado of energy and simply wipes the floor with the Data Squad's 3 Digimon. When all seems lost, the wounded Marukimon reveals he knew Marcus's father, Spencer Damon, who also believed in peace. With his last words, he tells Keenan to live as a human with the heart of a Digimon. In a heroic act, he sacrifices himself, grabbing Gizumon XT and exploding along with it. Devastated and filled with rage over Marukimon's death, Keenan's DNA charge finally awakens. He digivolves Falcomon to its ultimate level. Crowmon, Kurata, unfazed, summons another Gizumon XT, but this time, the story is different. Crowmon destroys the creature with a single blow. Savage Emperor. Kurata escapes through a digital portal with a smile on his face. Back in his lab, he reveals he has an entire army of Gizumon ready to attack. The DATS team returns to the real world and where is everyone? The headquarters is empty. Suddenly, Chief Hashiba appears, surrounds the team, and summarily fires them all. To make matters worse, he completely resets Marcus, Thomas, and Yoshi's memories in a very MIB, Men in Black vibe. He basically formatted the protagonist's hard drives. The Digimon are thrown into a cell, along with the rest of the team. Now, Marcus, Thomas, and Yoshi are living normal lives with no idea they were once heroes. But the Digimon, who are no fools, stage a prison break and go after their partners. Their mission? To convince the team they were once a unit that saved the world together. At first, the trio thinks it's a prank, but the bond between them is too strong, and their memories begin to return. Meanwhile, Keenan and the other team members also manage to escape their cells. They go after Kurata to try to put an end to his scheme, but the villain is a tough nut to crack, and the mission fails. Soon after, the team is finally reunited, just in time to face another Gizumon that Kurata sent to attack Marcus. After dealing with that threat, they race to DATS headquarters, only to find the place being completely destroyed. Things just got serious.
Run away! Hurry! Go!
Now what? Everything's gone!
And moments later, the villain Kurata shows up, just to laugh at their misfortune. To make things worse, he reveals a new, upgraded Gizumon before vanishing through a digital gate. Furious, the Data Squad regroups at Marcus's house. There, Nikki and Megumi confirm that the new Gizumon version is faster and stronger. The plan is to go after Kurata in the digital world, but Yoshi reminds them that the digital dive was blown to bits. Just when all seems lost, Commander Samson appears with one last hope, Professor Cryer. Disguised as hotel staff, Marcus, Thomas, and Yoshi infiltrate the building where the Cryer family is hiding. They find the professor and beg for his help to open his personal digital gates. Keenan's mother, Michelle, is frantic at the thought of her son returning to danger, but Keenan gives a hero's speech about his duty to protect both worlds, and his parents eventually agree. The team flees in a van but is pursued by black cars that are mysteriously destroyed by an unseen force. A plot twist? At the Cryer's old house, the professor manages to open the portal, but just as the team is about to enter, they're ambushed by 3 mysterious figures, Koki, Nanami, and Ivan. They reveal themselves as bio-hybrids, a mix of human and Digimon, and bio-digivolve into Bio-Thunderbirdmon, Bio-Quetzalmon, and Bio-Stegomon. The Data Squad's partners evolve to their ultimate forms, but take a historic beating. Before the final blow, Commander Samson arrives and orders the team to proceed with the mission, while he holds off the enemies. Samson activates his own DNA charge, and Kutamon becomes Chirinmon, an ultimate level Digimon. As Chirinmon fights the three, Samson pushes his power to the limit, causing a massive explosion that engulfs everyone. The Data Squad is thrown through the portal, which closes behind them, leaving them trapped in the digital world and unsure if their commander survived. The DATS team is in the digital world hunting for Kurata, when suddenly an army of Gizumon XT erupts from the ground to attack them. Falcomon digivolves to Chromon and tries to hold them off, but the number of enemies is overwhelming. The other Digimon join the fight but are eventually defeated. When all seems lost, a mysterious and cocky Digimon appears. Bancho Leomon. The guy shows up, destroys the Gizumon like they're nothing, and then simply turns his back and leaves. A true anti-hero. Seeing the situation, Keenan and Falcomon decide to fly off to get reinforcements. The rest of the team continues through the forest and finds Cherrymon again, who is now tending to a group of injured Digimon like a field medic. He tells them about the disaster unfolding, and Marcus immediately knows Kurata is to blame. And speak of the devil, the biohybrids appear. Marcus asks about Commander Samson, and Koki drops the bomb. He's gone. The team is in shock. The fight resumes, but the heroes are still at a disadvantage. As the villains are about to finish off Cherrymon, Marcus's and the others' Digivices begin to glow intensely, giving their Digimon a massive power-up. With the extra strength, they turn the tables and force the biohybrids to flee with their tails between their legs. The Data Squad is in trouble. After overloading their DNA charge, their Digivice is fried, like a phone left on the wrong charger overnight. Now they're in the digital world, completely powerless. Meanwhile, the biohybrids receive orders from Kurata to hunt Digimon, but their leader, Koki, is more obsessed with getting a rematch, like that friend who can't stand losing a video game. The team's only hope is to find Marcus's father, Dr. Damon, to act as an IT guy and fix their devices. They head for his last known location, the Wanderer's Cape, dodging the biohybrids as if they're in a life or death game of hide and seek. At the Cape, they find a mysterious dojo. Inside, they come face to face with Bancho Leomon, a Digimon who already knows their Digivices are broken. He offers to teach them the true nature of the DNA charge, but on one condition: they must pass a test and destroy 3 training dummies. To make matters worse, a force field traps them inside, and the dummies reconstruct themselves every time they're hit. Meanwhile, outside, the biohybrids find the partner Digimon and begin to attack. The Data Squad watches in despair, unable to do anything. When the villains threaten to destroy Agumon, Marcus explodes with rage, shouting that he has to save his friends. This emotional outburst unlocks a new power, and Bancho Leomon reveals the truth. The DNA charge is pure human emotion. By controlling their feelings, they can unleash their true potential. Following his instructions, they strike their broken Digivices, which are not only repaired, but also evolve into the Digivice Burst. Using the new command DNA charge Overdrive, they digivolve their partners to their mega forms, Shine Greymon, Mirage Galgamon, and Rosemon. With this incredible upgrade, they defeat the biohybrids with ease. Bancho Leomon gives his approval, tells them to head to the sacred city, and vanishes into thin air in true mysterious master fashion. After their training with Bancho Leomon, the Data Squad follows a compass that leads them straight into a super foggy forest with a total horror movie vibe. Their argument is interrupted by an earthquake, and they discover that the so-called sacred city is actually on the back of a colossal Digimon named Eldradimon. They are greeted by the city's mayor, Baronmon, who immediately invites them to a party. A little suspicious, right? Meanwhile, on the other side, Dr. Kurata offers an upgrade to his biohybrids, Koki, Nanami, and Ivan, by injecting them with data from even stronger Digimon. Koki, blinded by rage and seeking revenge against Marcus, agrees instantly, and Kurata begins the risky procedure. The party? It was a trap, obviously. The team is captured by some Pumpkinmon, and Baronmon accuses them of being the evil humans who have been destroying Digimon villages. Tied up in an arena, they come face to face with Yushima, who had been captured earlier. To finish the job, Baronmon unleashes the ferocious Cerberusmon to execute them all. The partner Digimon, also captured, are given an ultimatum: either abandon the humans or die with them. But like the true friends they are, they refuse, break their chains, and free the team. Marcus prepares to fight and activates his DNA charge. The sight of the DNA charge triggers a flashback in Baronmon's mind. He remembers another human with the same power who saved Eldratimon years ago, Marcus's father, Spencer Damon. Realizing Marcus is the son of their hero, Baronmon calls off the execution and orders a real party. During the feast, Yushima reveals he was tracking Spencer, who in turn was searching for the master of the digital world, King Drazil. But the celebration is cut short when Gizumon XT attack the city. Rosemon, Mirage Galgamon, and Shine Greymon jump into the fray, but one Gizumon escapes. Just as it's about to attack the city, Keenan and Falcomon arrive with an army of Ninjamon, destroying the last enemy. As the team celebrates their new alliance, Yushima discovers that Kurata is harvesting the life force of the defeated Digimon, and in his lab, the villain prepares to unleash his upgraded biohybrids on the sacred city. Thomas devises a perfect defense strategy, like a video game general, but Baronmon gives all the credit to Marcus, just because he's the son of the legend. The look on Thomas's face is priceless. Meanwhile, Kurata's team is watching, and among them is Nanami, an evil genius. Kurata himself admits that Thomas's intellect is on par with hers. A scout, a Ninjamon, returns with a drawing that looks like it was made by a 5-year-old but with a clear description. Kurata's base is on Acorn Hill. Marcus, feeling like the heir to the throne, puffs out his chest and calls for an immediate attack. Thomas tries to talk some sense into the group, saying it's an obvious trap and they should focus on defense. But the crowd of Digimon is in full let's fight mode and supports Marcus, who decides to attack alone. As expected, Marcus's group walks right into an ambush by Gizumon XT. Back in the city, Thomas and Galmon predict that the real threat will come from the waterfall, the city's only weak point. They rush there and come face to face with Nanami. She gives him the "we geniuses understand each other" speech, trying to manipulate Thomas by saying his friends are just holding him back. She even invites him to join the dark side. Thomas refuses and Nanami becomes BioRadosmon. Thomas has Galmon digivolve to Mirage Galgamon, but BioRadosmon is too fast and even uses a hypnotic illusion. Seeing that his usual strategy won't work, Thomas resorts to Plan B, using himself as bait on his partner's shoulder to get close enough. The crazy bet pays off. Mirage Galgamon lands a full moon blaster and defeats her.
Get her!
But before reverting to normal, Nanami destroys the waterfall. She admits defeat, not to Thomas's strategy, but to the reckless power he learned from Marcus. With the waterfall destroyed, the lake begins to dry up, and an army of Gizumon, led by Ivan, closes in on the defenseless Eldratimon. Inside, Yushima organizes a last stand. Like the Battle of Helm's Deep, he sends the small Digimon to safety, while the rest prepare for a brawl. In the midst of the chaos, Yoshi and Lalamon are trying to patch a hole in the wall when they run into Ivan himself. And here's where things get weird. The guy has a crush on Yoshi and starts thinking out loud about his feelings, and everyone hears him. After that embarrassing moment, he challenges Yoshi to a fight, just to prove his worth. Lalamon accepts on the spot, but with one condition. If they win, Ivan has to leave Yoshi alone forever. Yoshi then digivolves Lalamon to her mega form, Rosemon. In response, Ivan uses his biohybrid DNA and transforms into Biospinomon, a kind of superpowered dinosaur. During the fight, Ivan opens his heart and reveals he works as a mercenary for Kurata, just to earn money to support his younger orphan siblings. But Yoshi isn't buying it. She's disgusted and tells him he sold his body and soul for money, and that his family would never want him to become a monster. It's an epic shutdown. Feeling completely rejected, Ivan launches his most powerful attack, Blue Prominence. Rosemon counters with her Forbidden Temptation, and the explosion defeats Biospinomon, who reverts to a wounded Ivan. Meanwhile, Kurata, who was just watching from the sidelines, activates a device he left in the city. Just as Marcus and Keenan arrive to confront him, the device activates and pulls the entire Eldratimon through a digital gate. Kurata escapes, and the giant turtle, with the city on its back, appears out of nowhere in the middle of the human world's ocean, causing a flood of Noah's Ark proportions. The Data Squad, now separated from Marcus, finds themselves in the middle of the chaos and are immediately attacked. Rosemon and Mirage Galgamon manage to handle the Gizumon, but the refugee Digimon are terrified. Speak of the devil, Marcus and Agumon arrive through a separate portal, and who's there to greet them? Koki. Marcus tells Keenan to go help the others while he stays to settle this score. After a good old-fashioned fistfight, Koki uses his upgraded DNA and becomes Bio Dark Dramon, Greymon. Marcus and Agumon don't back down and respond with Shine Greymon. As they clash, Kurata reveals his plan B, a digital hazard weapon. Baronmon, the mayor, makes a heroic sacrifice to protect Eldradimon and dissolves into data. And to make matters worse, Kurata launches his ultimate weapon, the Gizumon Javelin, a giant spear made of thousands of Gizumon. In the fight, Shine Greymon can't use his full power without destroying the city. Darkdramon, being clever, takes advantage of this and attacks a building, forcing Shine Greymon to take the hit. But refusing to give up is Marcus's superpower. His DNA shines brighter than a Christmas tree and unleashes a new power. Shine Greymon becomes Shine Greymon Burst Mode. With his new Geo Gray sword, he phases through Darkdramon's attacks like a ghost and defeats him, reverting him to Koki and a Digi-Egg. But as Marcus prepares to celebrate, the Gizumon Javelin strikes Eldradimon, turning the entire city into a Digi-Egg. To top it all off, Marcus sees a helicopter carrying away Thomas and Mirage Galgamon, captured by some mysterious men. It was a crushing defeat. The Data Squad is now public enemy number 1. The government has declared all Digimon dangerous, and the team is hiding out in a secret base, worried about Thomas, who just vanished in a helicopter bearing his family's crest. Marcus, being a loyal friend, insists he would never abandon the team. Meanwhile, Thomas arrives at the Norstein mansion and is greeted by his younger sister Relina, who is confined to a wheelchair. She tells him their father brought her there, promising a cure for her illness. Thomas's father appears, looking grim, to scold his son for joining DATS. But the real plot twist is that Professor Kurata is there, and Thomas's father has put the madman in charge of Relina's treatment. Kurata plays dirty and blackmails Thomas, Relina's cure in exchange for his full cooperation. He brainwashes him, blaming Marcus for the conflict and saying the Data Squad's ideals are a lost cause. Torn between his friends and his sister's life, Thomas agrees to help Kurata build a new world, sealing the deal with a handshake. Back at the docks, the rest of the team walks into an ambush by 3 Gizumon. Marcus, Yoshino, and Keenan waste no time evolving their partners to their megaforms. And right in the middle of the fight, who shows up? Thomas, with Mirage Galgamon. To everyone's shock, he orders Mirage Galgamon to attack Shine Greymon. While the Digimon battle, Marcus goes after Thomas, and the two get into a fist fight. Thomas, cold as ice, says Marcus must be eliminated for the war to end. The betrayal sends Marcus into a blind rage, and he unleashes a dark, corrupted DNA charge. The sinister energy transforms Shine Greymon not into burst mode, but into a monstrous, out-of-control version of himself that goes on a destructive rampage. And now we have a clash between friends, Shine Greymon Ruin Mode versus Mirage Galgamon. And a direct showdown between Marcus and Thomas. It's like Captain America versus Iron Man, but with a lot more shouting. Mirage Galgamon just keeps repeating that he's following orders, which only makes Marcus more pissed off. The rage is so intense that Marcus's burst mode turns into a blind rage mode. He orders Shine Greymon to destroy everything, but the Digimon completely loses control and starts wrecking the entire area. It's Christy who manages to snap Marcus out of it, but the damage is already done. Shine Greymon self-destructs and regresses into a Digi-Egg, leaving Marcus completely devastated. The team learns that the egg could take up to a year to hatch, or it might never hatch at all, and even if Agumon does return, he'll have no memory of his past. Meanwhile, Thomas meets with Kurata, unaware that Keenan and Falcomon are spying on them. Kurata reveals his master plan, to use the life energy of Digimon to awaken Belphemon and rule both worlds. Keenan tries to attack but is intercepted, and Kurata orders Thomas to eliminate the spies. The chase is tense. Back at the base, Marcus wants to help, but Bancho Leomon throws it in his face that without a Digimon, he's useless. Outside, Keenan and Chromon fight desperately against Mirage Galgamon. Keenan finds a weak spot and hits the enemy, but as they try to escape, Mirage Galgamon unleashes a devastating attack. Keenan and Chromon take a direct hit and fall into the ocean, disappearing. Marcus screams his friend's name, but there's no answer. The scene is heartbreaking. Keenan shows up, battered and bruised after his fight with Mirage Galgamon, but he manages to warn the DATS team about Kurata's plan, to awaken Belphemon, a legendary Digimon that's basically a weapon of mass destruction. Meanwhile, Thomas gives Kurata a new control device, and Kurata reinforces his promise to cure Thomas's sister, Relina. However, Mr. Yushima discovers that the cure is a sham. Kurata plans to fuse Relina with a Digimon, turning the girl into a biohybrid. When Yushima tries to intervene, he's stopped by Thomas himself, who confesses to joining the villain of his own free will to save his sister. With the plan in motion, Kurata unleashes Belphemon Agumon in its sleep mode, and the beast immediately begins demolishing the city. The villain then makes a worldwide broadcast, demanding total surrender and declaring himself the new king of the planet. Anyone who disobeys will be annihilated. Since Marcus's Agumon is still a Digi-Egg, the rest of the DATS team, Yoshino, Keenan, Mickey, and Megumi, spring into action. They digivolve their partners into Rosemon, Chromon, and the two Chessmons, but their combined attacks barely even tickle Belphemon. As the team is easily defeated, Thomas appears with Mirage Galgamon, and here comes the plot twist. He remotely destroys the device he gave Kurata, revealing that he was just waiting for the right moment to betray the villain after ensuring Relina's surgery was completed safely. Kurata, livid with rage, merges with Belphemon himself, forcing the monster to awaken in its powerful rage mode. Just as Thomas and Mirage Galgamon prepare to face the newly transformed demon, Marcus arrives on the scene, only to come face to face with the impossible battle that's about to begin. The fight is in full swing with Kurata fused to Belphemon, basically a video game final boss demanding the entire world to surrender. While the Data Squad is getting pummeled by Belphemon, Thomas and Mirage Galgamon burst onto the scene. To everyone's surprise, he orders a direct attack on the monster, proving he was never anything but one of the good guys. The team is relieved, but Kurata is furious about the betrayal. The problem is Mirage Galgamon's attacks are like throwing pebbles at a tank. They don't even leave a scratch. When all seems lost, Marcus shows up with Agumon's Digi-Egg. After a quick punch-up with Thomas to settle the score, he joins the fight. The entire team charges, but Belphemon is so strong it knocks them down like dominoes. Kurata takes the opportunity to mark them, calling Digimon useless, heartless worms. This is the last straw for Keenan, who remembers the love for his Digimon mother, Frigimon. Fueled by this emotion, his DNA charge explodes, and Falcomon digivolves straight to his megaform, Ravemon. The new Digimon is so fast and powerful that he finally manages to land a scratch on Belphemon, but the fight is far from over. The monster reveals that it's no longer Kurata in control. Belphemon has devoured the scientist's consciousness and is now calling the shots. It's the classic, "this isn't even my final form" moment. To prove it, he absorbs the city's energy, heals himself, and transforms into the even more sinister rage mode. The blast sends the team flying, but Marcus's determination is unshakable. This causes Agumon's egg to hatch, bringing him back. Reunited, Marcus and Agumon run towards Belphemon for what looks to be the final battle. To the surprise of absolutely no one who's ever watched an anime, Kurata is very much alive, only now he's inside a gigantic Belphemon in rage mode. From within his new organic mech, he starts his villain monologue, showing his utter contempt for Marcus and the Damon family. Marcus, having none of it, calls the guy pathetic, which sends Kurata into a complete rage. He has the giant demon absorb all the electricity in the city, vowing to destroy Marcus. To make matters worse, he swallows some spatial oscillation bombs to open a rift and blow up both the human and digital worlds. This guy is not messing around. The situation seems hopeless, but Marcus, like any good shonen protagonist, delivers an inspiring speech. It doesn't matter if they're human or Digimon, everyone there is part of the DATS team and fights to protect the ones they love. With renewed spirit, the team goes all out, but not even Shine Greymon's glorious burst, now stronger than ever, can scratch Belphemon. The monster swats the DATS Digimon away, but they get back up and shield Marcus from an incoming attack, forcing the Chessmons to regress to their rookie forms. Seeing his friends sacrifice themselves gives Marcus the final push he needs. His and Shine Greymon's determination is so insane that they unlock a new evolution, Burst Mode. They utterly obliterate Belphemon. Completely ignoring Kurata's pleas for mercy. But in a final act of spite, the villain detonates an explosion that expands the digital rift even further, blowing himself up in the process. Now, the two worlds are beginning to collide. The Earth's sky begins to be replaced by the digital world, and Thomas, the team's genius, does the math and comes to a terrifying conclusion. The collision of the two worlds will erase everything from existence, like formatting the universe's hard drive. Meanwhile, in the digital world, the king of all Digimon, King Drazil, summons one of his royal knights, Craniamon. Drazil makes a drastic decision. To save his world, he will simply delete the human world and all its inhabitants. To justify this Thanos-level move, he pulls up humanity's history of screw-ups. Drazil shows how the first contact with humans went wrong, pulling baby Keenan into the digital world. Then, he shows Marcus's father's expedition, where a terrified Kurata began a full-blown extermination of Digimon. He continues the list of crimes: the massacre that killed Frigimon, the creation of the biohybrids, the attack on the sacred city, the resurrection of Belphemon, and to top it all off, the destruction of the dimensional barrier. Basically, from his point of view, humanity is the problem. With chaos unfolding on Earth, the Royal Knights begin their invasion. But out of nowhere, Bancho Leo Mon appears and decides to pull an atlas, single-handedly holding up the digital world to prevent it from collapsing. He tells Marcus he's just buying time and that the boy's mission is to go to King Drazil. As a Spencer Damon's son, this is his destiny. To ensure the world doesn't fall, Bancho Leo Mon uses his life force and turns it to a stone statue, becoming a temporary pillar. With a new mission, Marcus and the Data Squad prepare to go have a talk with the king. Inspired by his courage, Marcus and the Data Squad decide to go straight to the source of the problem, the digital world, to have a little chat with the big boss, King Drazil. After passing through a portal, the team lands on a beach and comes across a Gotsumon buried in the sand. The team is immediately wary, remembering another Gotsumon who caused trouble. But Thomas, ever the brains of the operation, figures this one probably lost his memory after reverting to a Digi-Egg. Grateful for being saved, the amnesiac Gotsumon offers to be their guide to King Drazil. He leads them to the base of the gigantic server tree, but their path is blocked by Craniamon, one of the Royal Knights. The guy is like a VIP bouncer. He effortlessly dodges Marcus's punch and withstands attacks from Rosemon, Ravemon, and Mirage Galgamon as if they were tickles. Even Shine Greymon's sword is stopped by his weapon. To make matters worse, Craniamon reveals that King Drazil has ordered the destruction of the human world and then proceeds to defeat the entire team with a single blow. As he moves in for the finishing blow, Marcus, channeling his DNA charge, stops the knight's giant spear with his bare hand. Yes, with his hand, he lays it on him straight. A king who doesn't care about his world shouldn't be king, and lands a punch that sends Craniamon flying. He then activates burst mode, evolving Shine Greymon into Shine Greymon burst mode. But before round 2 can begin, the rest of the Royal Knights, including Gallantmon and Omnimon, show up out of nowhere. A cloaked figure appears and stops Marcus from advancing, revealing himself to be his missing father, Spencer Damon. And to top it all off with a mind-blowing plot twist, Gallantmon announces Spencer Damon is King Drazil. The DATS team awakens back in the human world, saved by a mysterious and imposing Digimon. He introduces himself as Kentaurus Mon, one of the Royal Knights, but the tough guy act doesn't last long, and he collapses, reverting to a badly injured Kudamon. At the DATS hideout, Commander Samson lays it all out. Kudamon's true mission was to spy on humanity for King Drazil. Kudamon himself confirms he is a Royal Knight, but announces he has switched sides and will now fight alongside the humans against Drazil's order to destroy their world. And then comes the bombshell. Marcus learns that King Drazil is none other than his own father, Spencer Damon. Samson confirms the bizarre story, explaining that he found Spencer in the digital world, but the man had amnesia, didn't recognize his own family, and had become the story's villain, determined to wipe humanity from existence. After his sister Christy overhears everything, Marcus has a moment with his family, remembering the day his father gave him his pendant, which renews his resolve. But the sentimental moment is cut short by the arrival of another Royal Knight, Gallantmon, who immediately starts causing trouble. Thomas, Yoshi, and Keenan's mega-level Digimon are defeated as if they were nothing. Marcus, pissed off as usual, does what he does best. He punches Gallantmon, activating his DNA charge and evolving Agumon into Shine Greymon. In the midst of the fight, Gallantmon prepares a devastating final attack. That's when Kudamon evolves into Kentaurus Mon one last time and throws himself in front of the blast. He uses his icy breath to freeze himself along with Gallantmon, sacrificing his own life and leaving the fate of both worlds in Marcus's hands.
Marcus, I am entrusting the two of you with the fate and safety of both our worlds!
With his friends staying behind to protect Earth, Marcus prepares to return to the digital world alone to confront his own father. While Marcus is off in the digital world sorting out his daddy issues, the crew left on Earth, Thomas, Yoshi, and Keenan, has the not-so-easy task of holding off the Royal Knights. Out of the blue, Thomas gets a call from Yushima warning him that his father and sister Relina are in trouble at the airport. Nightmon are attacking their plane, but Thomas arrives in the nick of time to save his family. His sister is taken to the plane's infirmary, and then the drama between Thomas and his father begins. They trade barbs, and Thomas flashes back to his tense past with the old man. The Nightmon return in full force, and Yushima and Shaojimon try to hold them off. Mirage Galgamon joins the fray, but then the boss shows up. Lode Nightmon, he completely mops the floor with both Digimon. It's a massacre. As Thomas's father tries to escape with Relina, they are attacked. In a purely instinctual act, Thomas and Mirage Galgamon jump in front of them, acting as a human and digital shield. Seeing this breaks Thomas's father. He breaks down, cries, and apologizes for trying to control his children's lives. It was the push Thomas needed. He finally understands and forgives his father. This emotional resolution triggers Mirage Galgamon to evolve into burst mode. With his new power, he defeats Lode Nightmon with absurd ease. The Knight's Digi-Egg returns to the digital world, and that's one down. Back in the digital world, things are serious. With his comrades defeated, the Royal Knight Leopardmon volunteers for a not-so-humble mission to destroy the human world, and the boss, King Drazil, basically gives him the green light and says, go for it. Meanwhile, on Earth, Yoshi and Keenan are patrolling the evacuated city like mall cops, fulfilling their promise to Marcus to protect the place. Suddenly, a freak tornado appears right over Marcus's house, and instead of blowing everything away, it just drops off a bunch of baby Digimon and a Biomon. Basically, a digital stork delivery that missed its address. Marcus's sister, Christy, recognizes the Biomon instantly. It's her former partner, who had reverted to a Digi-Egg in a past battle. Her joy turns to dust when she realizes the Biomon doesn't remember a thing. It's that sad rule of the Digimon universe. When they're reborn, it's like a factory reset. The memory gets wiped too. The peace is short-lived, as Leopardmon appears and starts destroying the city. Yoshi and Keenan spring into action, digivolving Lalamon and Falcomon to their megaforms, Rosemon and Ravemon. But the duo is no match for the Royal Knight and takes a beating. As Leopardmon prepares for the final blow near the house, Christy's desperate screams trigger something in Biomon, who digivolves into Garudamon to protect her. This emotional connection was so strong it acted like a cheat code, unlocking burst mode for Yoshi and Keenan. Rosemon and Ravemon activate their new powers, combine their attacks, and dispatch Leopardmon. As the dust settles, Thomas reappears, and the team decides they're done playing defense. The next step is to return to the digital world and have a face-to-face chat with King Drazil. Marcus and Agumon are in the home stretch, on their way to a showdown with the final boss, King Drazil. But, like in any good video game, a sub-boss appears to block the path, Craniamon, and he's not in the mood to let the duo pass. To make matters worse, he's got a legendary item, the Omni Shield, a gift from King Drazil himself that is supposedly indestructible. Agumon tries everything, attack after attack, but the shield doesn't budge. Not even evolving to burst mode helps. Craniamon's defense is just too insane. When all seems lost and Craniamon is about to deliver the final blow, the cavalry arrives. Thomas, Yoshi, and Keenan show up to save the day, and they even bring the good news that Marcus's family is safe. After a brief speech about the power of the human spirit, all hell breaks loose. It's Mirage Galgamon, Rosemon, Ravemon, and Shine Greymon, all in burst mode, attacking together. The strategy is simple. Focus all attacks on the Omni Shield, and it works. A crack finally appears. Shine Greymon fires another blast, breaking the shield even more. And to finish it off with a flourish, Marcus himself lands a punch that shatters Craniamon's defense. A human punch breaking a divine shield. What a scene! This completely shatters Craniamon's faith in King Drazil. He concedes defeat and lets the team pass, saying he'll now bet on humanity's potential to save both worlds. Respect. After Craniamon basically gives the team a free pass, the data squad arrives at the massive server tree. Inside, King Drazil already senses their presence. The guy is focused on destroying the human world, but at the same time, memories of a young Marcus keep flashing in his mind. It seems like there's a bug in the villain's system. At the base of the tree, Thomas identifies the place as the central computer for the entire digital world. But before they can enter, floating security crystals attack them. Thomas and Galmon stay behind to handle the trouble, with Galmon digivolving to Mirage Galgamon. Marcus, Yoshino, and Keenan enter a narrow passage inside the tree, but are attacked again. Realizing there isn't enough room for everyone to evolve, Yoshino and Keenan decide to stay and hold the line. Lalamon becomes Rosemon, and Falcomon transforms into Ravemon as they shout for Marcus to go on alone. It's that classic movie scene where the team sacrifices themselves one by one. Meanwhile, in the human world, Craniamon appears to wreak havoc. Biomon tries to protect Christy and her mother, but is easily defeated. Seeing her friends so hurt causes Christy to explode with emotion, and this power surge makes Biomon digivolve to Garudamon. At the top of the tree, Marcus finally confronts King Drazil. The man denies being his father in full Darth Vader style and attacks without mercy, sending Marcus flying. Defeated, Marcus hears his father's voice telling him to use his emotions to unleash the true power of his DNA. As Drazil prepares the finishing blow, Bancho Leomon appears out of nowhere and blocks the attack. And then comes the plot twist. He reveals that he is the real Spencer Damon, Marcus's father. Absolutely shocking.
Your father, Spencer Damon, is in fact me!
Marcus's reaction is basically one giant "what?", unable to believe what he's hearing. Then Bancho Leomon tells the whole story. He and Spencer met when Marcus's dad was searching for King Drazil. The two got into a fight, it ended in a draw, and they became best friends. A true anime bromance. In their search for the big boss, they ran into Craniamon, who acted like a club bouncer and wouldn't let anyone pass. To solve the situation, Spencer used Burst Digivolution on Bancho Leomon, who then taught Craniamon a lesson. Finally, they find King Drazil. The problem is, right at that moment, Kurata decides to attack the digital world. Spencer convinces Drazil to spare humanity, betting his own life on it. But Kurata attacks again, and Drazil, who has no patience for screw-ups, orders Spencer's execution. As the Royal Knights move in to finish the job, Bancho Leomon lands what looks like a fatal punch on Spencer. But wait, it's all part of a crazy plan. Alone, Bancho Leomon absorbs Spencer's spirit, but King Drazil is no fool. He takes Spencer's empty body and uses it as a puppet, blackmailing Bancho Leomon. If he reveals the secret, Spencer's body will turn to dust forever. Back in the present, King Drazil, using Spencer's body, declares he will delete all humans. Bancho Leomon grabs him to hold him in place and yells for Marcus to destroy them both together. After much hesitation, Marcus has Shine Greymon attack, and the two seem to disappear in an explosion. Thought King Drazil was done for? Think again. The guy simply rises from the rubble and promises permanent deletion for everyone. He shoves the mega-level Digimon aside and heads straight for the human world. There, he finds Craniamon, who is literally holding the digital world on his back, and calls him a traitor. Drazil tries to attack Christy, but Shine Greymon appears at the last second to defend her. The entire DATS team is back. All the Digimon activate their burst modes and launch a combined attack, but they only manage to scratch Drazil, who regenerates instantly. Talk about an overpowered video game boss. With a single blow, he reverts all the Digimon to their rookie forms. As Drazil begins to spread his energy across the planet, Craniamon yells that he can't hold on for much longer. That's when Marcus delivers one of those classic protagonist motivational speeches, and his DNA charge explodes to absurd levels. This inspires Digimon from all over the world to send their energy to help Craniamon, a true digital spirit bomb. The digital world stops falling, and the Royal Knights appear. Omnimon and Galantmon finally question Drazil's decisions like, "Chief, are you sure about this?" King Drazil completely loses it and reveals his true form. He's not a god. He's a giant computer, the 29000WZ, who has decided the best solution is to format the universe. Marcus yells that Drazil is just too proud to admit he's wrong, and prepares with Agumon for the final round. With the help of the energy from all humans and Digimon, who unite as one, Marcus and Agumon activate burst mode and deliver the final punch that destroys King Drazil. The big computer admits defeat, acknowledging that humans and Digimon can grow together. The AI finally learned its lesson. The collision between the worlds stops, and peace is restored. Amid the celebration, Spencer Damon returns to his children, Marcus and Christy, in a moment of pure joy. But it's not all good news. The Digimon decide they need to go home to help rebuild the digital world. Marcus is devastated by the thought of being separated from Agumon. Each member of DATS spends one last day with their partner in a heartbreaking farewell vibe. On the day of their departure, when all seems lost, Marcus comes running and shouts that he's going with Agumon to the digital world. He's going to be the new guardian of peace there. We flash forward 5 years. Christy and Keenan are in high school. Thomas has won a Nobel Prize for curing his sister, and DATS has become a police precinct with Yoshi, Samson, and the crew as officers. And Marcus and Agumon, they've become the most badass peacekeeping duo in the digital world, breaking up fights and ensuring peace is maintained. Basically, the sheriffs of the digital neighborhood.
Ready, Agumon?
Yeah!
Ah!